Being a celebrity sounds like it's the hardest job in the world. Yeah, sure, you have fame, but does that really make up for all the other things you have to deal with? Between paparazzi, pressure from the industry, and the stress from your career, it's no wonder some celebrities have chosen to leave their A-list life behind. Today, let's talk about some of those celebrities as we count down the top 10 celebrities who quit Hollywood. At number 10, Cameron Diaz. Everyone knows who Cameron Diaz is. You may know her from some of the films that she's done, like Charlie's Angels, The Mask, Bad Teacher, and my personal favorite, Shrek. Cameron has had a very successful career, but all of a sudden she left all of that behind and decided to move on from acting, and this left a lot of fans wondering why she made that decision. Well, it turns out that after playing the role of Miss Hannigan in the movie Annie, Cameron came to a realization about her life and decided to act on it. She explained her thought process more in depth with the Goop podcast, where she said, quote, "I really needed to know that I could take care of myself, that I knew how to be an adult, that I knew how to navigate the world of complexity of being an adult and having responsibility and putting all the pieces of my life together the way I want it to be put together and not the way other people thought it should go." End quote. As I said, Cameron had a pretty good career, but it's also a good thing that she came to that realization that she needed to be able to fulfill her life in a more personal way. That kind of growth is certainly something that we should all strive for. At number 9, Freddie Prinze Jr. Actor Freddie Prinze Jr., known for his role on I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scooby-Doo, quit acting after he worked with a fellow Hollywood actor when he called them, quote, "the most unprofessional dude in the world." The actor explained that after playing the role of Cole Ortiz in 24 back in 2010, alongside Kiefer Sutherland, he took a break from acting. Freddie sat down with ABC News to talk about the experience, where he told them, quote, "I did 24, it was awful. I hated every moment of it. Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. That's not me talking trash, I'd say it to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. I just wanted to quit the business after that. So I sort of just stopped." End quote. Imagine working with someone so bad that you want to quit your own job. I mean, I'm sure we've all had a coworker like that, but for a Hollywood actor to give up their craft because of a bad experience with another actor, that's a lot to process. Now, before I carry on with the video, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also consider checking out my gaming channel, Viper Girl. I've got some fun new stuff going on over there, so come check it out and subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Daniel Day-Lewis. If you're familiar with who actor Daniel Day-Lewis is, then you know that he's one talented guy. Unfortunately, Hollywood won't be able to bask in his talent as he's quit Hollywood and has retired from acting. This came after he was left feeling underwhelmed after making the movie Phantom Thread. In this film, Daniel played a fashion designer who made couture dresses for people in high society. To prepare for this role, he became an apprentice to the costume designer for the New York City Ballet and even recreated a Balenciaga dress. Needless to say, he was heavily prepared for this role. When all was said and done, however, Daniel was left feeling sad and underwhelmed with the film. When he explained his feelings towards his retirement, it almost sounded as though he lost the enjoyment of acting, as he told sources, quote, "I've been interested in acting since I was 12 years old, and back then, everything other than theater, that box of light, was cast in shadow. When I began, it was a question of salvation. Now I want to explore the world in a different way." End quote. Daniel is now living a more private life away from Hollywood. At number 7, Amanda Bynes. Former child actor Amanda Bynes grew up in the spotlight, and between the pressure of having grown up a celebrity combined with her public breakdown, it's no wonder why she decided to leave the industry. In the past, Amanda has spoken out about the times that she felt anxious about her Hollywood career, but in an interview with Paper Magazine, she opened up about the very moment that she decided to quit acting, and this was after she watched her performance in the movie Easy A. Amanda told the publication, quote, "I literally could not stand my appearance in the movie. I didn't like my performance. I was absolutely convinced that I needed to stop acting after seeing it. I was high on Mary Jane when I saw that, and for some reason it really started to affect me. I don't know if it was a drug-induced psychosis or what, but it affected my brain in a different way than it affects other people. It absolutely changed my perspective of things." End quote. After making the decision to retire from acting, Amanda took to Twitter to tell the public about her plans to leave Hollywood. Although she says that she hopes to one day return to acting, she's also content with living her simpler life away from Hollywood. At number 6, Jake Lloyd. Sometimes all it takes is one bad experience to change our perspective of things. This is pretty much what happened with actor Jake Lloyd after starring as young Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Jake was only 8 years old when he starred in the film, and you would think that as a kid he'd be basking in the fame that he was receiving. So many kids these days want to be famous, and Jake was probably thinking the same thing, but when the praise for the film turned to hate towards the actor, that's when he reconsidered his place in Hollywood. The actor said that this experience turned his childhood into a, quote, living hell, end quote. Jake recalled how kids would make fun of him at the time and how insanely busy he was back then, having to do up to 60 interviews a day. He eventually retired from acting because he was no longer able to fit in, and it took a big toll on him. Jake's case here is a perfect example of the darker side of being a celebrity that most people seem to forget about. At number 5, Jack Gleeson. After gaining fame from starring as Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones, actor Jack Gleeson decided to take a step back from acting and leave Hollywood. Although he was grateful for the experience of being part of such a huge show like Game of Thrones, Jack told sources that the large amount of fame that comes with the job just isn't something that thrills him. Going in depth about his thoughts, he told sources, quote, "It was always a recreation beforehand, but when I started doing Game of Thrones, perhaps the reality made it too real for me. The lifestyle that comes with being an actor in a successful TV show isn't something I gravitate towards," end quote. Jack even made a point to not watch his own performances on TV because of how maniacal his character was, as he said, quote, "You tend to abstract from the creepiness of it when you're playing it, but when you see it on television, it sends shivers down my spine," end quote. Since leaving the industry, Jack has gone to college and has a goal of helping relief efforts for those in Haiti who were affected by the 2010 earthquake. At number 4, Shirley Temple. The late Shirley Temple lived such a full and eventful life. She started off as a child actor, starring in more than 40 feature films during her acting career. Her time in Hollywood started in the 1930s at the age of 3, and she was always cast as a, quote, "dimpled, precocious, determined little girl," end quote. Shirley kept up her acting career until 1950 at the age of 22, when she came to the realization that although she was an adult, she was still being typecast and wasn't feeling as fulfilled with the films that she starred in anymore. As a result, she left Hollywood behind and went on to pursue a new career avenue that eventually led her to politics. Shirley joined the United Nations delegation in 1969, she became the US ambassador to Ghana, and later the US ambassador to Czechoslovakia. This was a better and more fulfilling career for Shirley, and I'm sure she didn't regret leaving Hollywood. At number 3, Grace Kelly. The late Grace Kelly was a Hollywood icon as well as a political head, and the story of how she achieved this is pretty remarkable. Grace rose to fame as a Hollywood actress in the 1950s after starring in films like High Noon, The Country Girl, and 3 Alfred Hitchcock films as well. In 1955, Grace met Monaco's Prince Rainier III at the Cannes Film Festival, and things just blossomed from there. The couple got married a year later, and this is when Grace retired from Hollywood. She left her life of acting behind to become a princess. According to some sources, Grace allegedly considered making a return to acting in the 60s, but clearly that never happened. She lived her lavish life of royalty until her tragic passing in 1982. At number 2, Rick Moranis. Back in the 80s, Rick Moranis was the comedy actor. He starred in films like Ghostbusters, Parenthood, the Honey I Shrunk the Kids films, as well as the Flintstones. He was riding a huge wave of success until tragedy struck his family, forcing him to make some pretty big and life-altering changes. In 1991, his wife Anne sadly passed away from cancer at just 35 years old. At the time, the couple had been raising 2 young children, and so as he suddenly became a single parent, Rick had to make some changes and decided to retire from acting in order to take care of his kids full time. Rick has taken an extended hiatus from Hollywood, although he has done some voice work over the years, but other than that, he's focused on being a family man. And finally, at number 1, Meghan Markle. Actress turned Duchess Meghan Markle has led a very interesting life so far. The actress started off starring in films like Remember Me and is best known for her role as Rachel Zane on the show Suits, but in 2016 things changed when she was set up on a blind date with Prince Harry and they just hit it off. Eventually, the couple started dating, then got married, and she became a member of the British royal family, and she had to give up her acting career, and so she quit Hollywood and carried on with her royal duties. Now, as Meghan and Harry have stepped back from the royal family, it may be interesting to see if Meghan makes her return to Hollywood, but in the meantime, it's nice to simply see her enjoying her life. Now, I want to know if you could work with any celebrity, who would it be and why? I think personally I would choose to work with Lizzo because she just seems so fun and like a genuinely nice person. But then again, you never really know these celebrities. But how about you guys? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel to see more content from us. I've been your host, Bree Room, and until next time, stay safe, make good choices, and stay groovy, friends. Bye!